A growing number of people petitioning the Democratic National Committee, more than 64,000, to move the convention out of Charlotte, North Carolina after the state voted to ban same-sex marriage last Tuesday. So the petition says the convention should go to, quote, a state that upholds values of equality and liberty and which treats all citizens equally. But Democrats, they say, they're not budging. And this morning, for the very first time, we're actually hearing from the man behind the petition. Murray Lipp is the founder of the Facebook page Gay MUSA, who started the fight. And Murray, good morning to you. First, obviously, we know why you started the petition. Really, my question is, do you think you're going to have success in actually getting that convention moved out of Charlotte?
Right. Well, you know, I think a lot has changed since I started the petition. And the day after I started the petition,
last Tuesday.
Right. President Obama came out the next day and expressed support for marriage equality. And I think, you know, based on the feedback that I received from a lot of the people on the Gay Marriage USA page, my personal opinions about the petition have actually changed since it commenced.
How so?
You know, I think many of us recognize the reality that it's unlikely that the DNC is likely to move the convention at this late stage.
So you do recognize that,
yes,
despite all your, the petitions, yes, and all the people liking your pages, that isn't
exactly
going to happen.
Because I think what is more interesting is that 65,000 people feel so passionately about this issue. And I think it speaks to the anger and frustration that thousands and millions of people felt after what happened in North Carolina last week. I think that is what the key issue is here. And I think, you know, the Democratic Party needs to look at this and think, well, what does this mean for us if we have so many people frustrated about this issue? Has
anyone reached out to you other than simply social media? Anyone from the Democratic Party? What kind of feedback have you gotten?
I haven't, no one has reached out to me personally. That may be in part because, you know, it's not that easy to reach me via the Facebook page. The page has always been about the issue. It's never really been about me. And this is actually the first time that I've kind of come out into the open so that I'm the person running this page.
I was about to say, it was an anonymous, back last Tuesday, and this is the first time. I tried Googling you yesterday, and I couldn't find you anywhere on the internet, and I think in 2 minutes that's about to change.
Right.
But why come forward? Why show your face, share your name?
Because I feel so passionately about the issue of marriage equality that, you know, I had to put aside my own, anxieties about going public and think about the bigger cause. And, I think there's a huge movement towards equality, and if I can help that in some way, I'll absolutely do that.
Murray, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You worked for marriage equality here in New York, freedom to marry. Of course, the president lending his voice to the issue, gives a lot of momentum to the direction of that. But do you think that if President Obama had come out and said what he said the day after North Carolinians went to the polls and wrote in a ban of all relationship recognition into their state constitution, had he, because he did say the day before, he did it, right, he did it the day after,
right,
and if he had done it the day before or the week before or the month before, do you think that might have made a difference in the outcome of the vote in North Carolina?
I mean, it's quite possible that it may have made a difference, but it's very difficult to say. Maybe it wouldn't have made any difference at all. I think, the terrible news that, we heard last week in North Carolina may have been the final push that President Obama needed to make this statement and come out and support equality. And perhaps if that ban hadn't passed in North Carolina, perhaps he wouldn't have come out at this point and express support. So I'm trying to focus on the positive and think about how does this advance the cause going forward. And I think absolutely hearing, a sitting U.S. president say, I support marriage equality, that is historical.
But the impetus for the petition from the get-go was to get this convention moved out of Charlotte. And I do want to play a little sound because Soledad talked to the mayor of Charlotte just last week, Anthony Fox, and here's what he told her.
Right.
Frankly, I think that North Carolina still has many, many positive attributes, and I would point out that Charlotte and the county in which it sits actually defeated the referendum by a 54% to 44% margin.
So, given hearing the mayor of Charlotte, now you say...
Right, and that's the opposite side of the argument, and I think, when this first happened on Tuesday, people were really angry. And when people are frustrated, they want to take action.
But people are still angry. I was looking at your Facebook page today. Yeah. They're not going to like hearing you say, oh, that's okay, you can keep the convention in Charlotte.
I think my view on all of this is that how do we achieve the best possible outcome for everyone? And I think at this point, focusing, wasting a lot of energy on trying to move the convention takes us away from the core issue here is how do we advance the issue of marriage equality? And I think that's where we have some leverage in arguing that, you know, marriage equality needs to become a permanent part of the Democratic Party platform. You know, rather than just talking about it, we need to formalize this.
Whether or not it's better to protest and kind of run from a debate or engage your opponents.
Exactly.
And by being in North Carolina, you're engaging in the debate.
Exactly. And that is what a lot of the people on the Facebook page said. And I read their comments and I find it very useful. They said, you know, rather than walk away, let's face this head on. And what better place than to tackle this issue than in the state that just rejected equality?
How about that?
The big problem with that law is that it legalizes bigotry. And it makes it much harder for teachers and parents to tell teenagers that they can't, you know, they can't tease and they can't bully and they can't go and tackle somebody because they think the person is gay. Right. And it also harms us when we try and do work in a place like Uganda, which has legislation that would make homosexual acts punishable by the death penalty. Right. It undermines our capacity to be effective on those issues.
Absolutely, and that is the role. That is the role of legislation. We need to support equality, and that is why I started this petition on change.org to express our frustration at this discrimination.
Murray Lip, thank you. Quickly, their Facebook page is
facebook.com/gaymarriageusa.
Murray, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And still ahead this morning.